everybody. Thanks for joining us for our live update today on Tuesday on where am I getting April from? August 26th. I think that's today's date, you guys. I'm meteorologist Leslie Hudson, and joining me is storm chaser Aaron J. Jack. And I want you guys to make sure you hang around for a couple of more minutes. We're going to be introducing you the newest member of the MyRadar storm team, weather team. We're super excited to have her on board. So make sure you hang around for a few more minutes to get that introduction. But in the meantime, before we get there, let's talk about a couple of things. And let's take a look at the MyRadar app. We always like to start off there. There is some weather we're watching today in the Great Lakes, and I also have the power outages turned on. If you're not familiar how to do that, go to the layers, and that's the fourth one here at the bottom of the screen, and go all the way down to power outages. And if you toggle that off, I'm going to turn it off real quick and then turn it back on. You can see, of course, where the power outages are ongoing from this line of weather that we've been watching today. The Storm Prediction Center does have a slight risk today, but take a look at some of the power outages. This is in Meeker County, and we've got about just under 6,000 people without power out of about 7,700 tracked. That's a fair amount of people there. And then another one just to the north of it. This is in Stearns County, just about 1,300 people out of just under 50,000 people tracked. So as we head through tonight, I'm anticipating to see some rough weather. Buchanan County, just a few people, a couple dozen people here, but that's going to probably increase because this weather is looking pretty nasty as we head through these next couple of hours. So we'll get into all of that coming up here in just a second. Let me show you some of our weather cameras. As you guys know, we are partners with WeatherStem, and they have cameras all across the country. And our first one's going to take us to Tennessee because we're going to be talking about the flash flooding that is still a major story out of that region of the country. So the closest camera that we could get to is in Vanderbilt University. So this is, of course, east of where the Waverly floods were, but you can certainly see that this region of Tennessee is dealing with sunny skies. Thankfully, to help with the recovery and search efforts there, of course, the damage swath in Tennessee is about 10 miles wide. Just incredibly heartbreaking story there. We're also going to show you some video out of Iowa State University. Then you can see here another beautiful vantage point as well. So Iowa was a little bit under that slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center, but so far things have been looking pretty good with those guys as well. As we take a look at the downtown Orlando camera, if we've got that as well, we'll show you what's going on here in the city. Beautiful. Here it has been a toasty afternoon, of course, with the dog days of summer and not much wind here in the inland part of Orange County. It gets pretty hot. You can see we've got some clouds building there. We'll show you our other vantage point as well. That particular one is pointing east, and then our second camera here is pointing towards the south, towards the Amway Center. Very popular spot for concerts and live appearances. Lots of folks enjoy and of course the sporting events there with the Orlando Magic. But you can see that we've got some clouds building. Sea breezes are our primary precip maker this time of the year in Orlando, so we're expecting to see some of that as we get into the afternoon. Before we get any further, though, we want to introduce, of course, back our Aaron J. Jack, who is our storm chaser. He's been out chasing storms along the Manitoba area today, and he's been also taking a look at the tropics. We're also watching that as well. But Aaron, tell me a little bit about what you were chasing yesterday. I know you were chasing some supercells. What's going on today?
Yeah, so I was up in the Canadian Prairie right now, and yesterday I was chasing in south central Saskatchewan, just to the southwest of the Moose Jaw area, which is near Regina. And there was a severe risk with a potential for tornadoes there yesterday and potential for supercells. And indeed, we did get a couple of supercells fired there. ECC, Environment Canada, they did confirm 2 tornadoes yesterday on those storms in that area. So, you know, it's kind of a late, there hasn't been a lot of storms here in the Canadian Prairie. It's been a real bad drought. And so now it's just here at the end of the season, farmers are just now getting ready to start harvesting their fields. And now we're getting all the rain kind of late in the season. So it was a good opportunity to get out there and finally chase some storms in the Canadian Prairie once again. But now today that severe threat has shifted more to the southeast, mostly down to the United States. There is a little bit of some storm risk here. You can see it's cloudy. It's really cold and rainy today, so it's really not that severe risk here in the Manitoba area. That's more down to the southeast into towards Illinois, Iowa. I just saw in Wisconsin there were a couple of tornado warnings. Those have since ended. But my eye is on those tropics. I'm watching the tropics now. We're getting to peak season here. I think peak season, the exact day, the exact peak is September 10th. So as we start getting closer to that day, you're going to see that tropical activity start to increase. And indeed, it looks like there might be potential for me to be chasing some hurricanes, maybe tropical storm, but we'll see. Intensity's still a while out, still a few days out, but maybe this week can start heading down towards the Gulf Coast if some of these storms start developing into something substantial.
Well, I was just going to ask you about that because I know this time of the year, as we get towards, as you said, September and the early parts of fall, we kind of look back down towards the south and the south central U.S. And of course, as you mentioned, it's already been it's been relatively busy, but of course, there's no comparison to last year with the tropical season. You and I have been talking off camera, that there may be something going on in the Gulf. We're going to show you that as well. So when you're trying to figure out your next move, Aaron, do you take a kind of look at a broad picture of everything and figure out what region you're going to target in the coming weeks, I would imagine?
Yeah, and that's especially as we're getting here to peak season, I just fully start shifting towards tropics. I don't want to get myself pulled away too far from the tropics on some other weather event. We do get the second severe season here in the fall, coming into late September, October, into November. As the sun starts shifting, the jet stream starts shifting back to the south, and so we do get that chance again for more severe weather. So I do keep my eye on that. There are some times where a couple of years ago I chased Hurricane Michael, and then on the way back home we had some severe come through, and I chased a severe, and then on the backside of that we had snow. So this is that real dynamic time of year where you can see pretty much all three of the types of the weather events. You can get those tropical storms, you can get the severe weather, and then on the backside you get those winter events. So it's we might be leaving severe season and coming into that second severe season, but the hurricane season and winter season is just now starting to turn on. So.
Absolutely. So, it's funny how it's the things that you're looking at this time of the year, the exact same things that we're watching, of course, because you're trying to cover the big stories, and the second season of severe weather, definitely a big issue. So, Aaron, I thank you so much for stopping in, and at least it's a little cooler for you up there. We're sweating it out down here.
Yeah, I'm actually shivering a little bit. It's a little misty. It feels like fall. I'm a little sad. I'm not ready for fall yet. It's such a short summer and growing season here in Canada, so you want to get every day you can.
I hear you. Well, I don't know about up there in Canada, but I already see Halloween up in all the stores here in Florida. So I'm trying to get ready for it. I actually picked up some pumpkin granola yesterday to try and get in the mood, jumpstart the fall season here in Florida. But we don't get much
fun. Well, and it's pumpkin spice season, so I look forward to the pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin pie and all that. So there are some good things with the cold.
That's right. All right, Aaron, thanks so much. We appreciate your time, and we'll be looking for your video, of course, all this week, and we'll be retweeting that. Aaron does a great job of tagging the company as well, so you guys can catch his stuff on our social media channels and, of course, on YouTube. All right, that's our very own Aaron Jack joining us live from Manitoba. Thanks so much, Aaron.
Yeah, see you guys.
All right, take care. All right, some of the other stories, guys, that we've been talking about, I mentioned briefly about the Waverly, Tennessee story. So let's talk a little bit more about that because, of course, the death toll continues to rise as crews continue to sift through the rubble and unfortunately find more victims. There's still multiple people missing here, and the crews say it could take weeks to finally sift through this 10-mile wide swath of damage. When you look at this, I talked about this in the fast forecast this morning, that it looked awful lot like a tornado damage when you see those cars stacked up on top of each other, a debris field that looks similar to what a tornado would produce. The images out of there are just gut-wrenching, and the stories are even more intense of people, only having a matter of seconds in some cases to try and react and get out of the rising floodwaters. So this is an ongoing story that MyRadar is committed to continue to cover and look for ongoing coverage of this situation in Tennessee as folks try to put the pieces together from an incredibly sad story and a sign of the times where these flooding conditions can often come with little warning and often come season after season. Our next video takes us over to Parker, Colorado. This is where we've got some quarter and penny size hail that was in Colorado from last week, and these storms out west, I tell you what, they can really produce some intense weather. This particular hailstorm lasted for about 40 minutes. The gentleman that I got this video from told me that it was pretty intense. And you can see there that, it's a little smaller than, silver dollar size. Some of the hail there was quite large in Colorado last week. But we're still looking today through the Great Lakes for the risk for some hail and possibly some severe weather. As Aaron mentioned, we've already seen a couple of tornado warnings up in the Great Lakes, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And then our last video out of Salt Lake City, Utah. This is where, of course, they've been battling wildfires in so many of the western states. And The wind pattern, of course, creating very dangerous air quality conditions. The particular day this was shown, you can see that there is definitely a lot of smoke at the surface. The air quality index was well over 600 that day, and that's very dangerous for folks that are sensitive to pollutants in the atmosphere, and of course people that suffer from asthma or other type of air quality conditions. Really dangerous, and unfortunately the wildfire conditions have been ongoing there for weeks. All right, let's take a look what's going on with weather, you guys, because we're going to shift back over to the severe weather risk. And as we take a look at that, again, we have been keeping an eye on this weather that's up in the Great Lakes. As Aaron mentioned, there was a couple of tornado warnings up there just in parts of Wisconsin. Those have since expired. There are severe thunderstorm warnings still ongoing, and a severe thunderstorm watch you can see. We expect to see this line of weather to continue to move towards generally the Chicago area later tonight, but especially as we get into tomorrow, it's going to move over into Michigan and then into the Midwestern states, including Indiana and Ohio, and the risk could be extended. We'll see how that all plays out. In terms of the rain rates, I wanted to quickly touch on what we got from Henri. Still getting some pretty impressive numbers here, up to 3 inches from the very leftovers of Henri yesterday. But look at this swath of rain that's come in today and from last night. Again, up to 3 to 5 in the accumulated rain rates from these storms. So we've had several days where we've been tracking the persisting storms, and those have been producing some pretty heavy downpours. Localized flooding can't be ruled out either, you guys. So keep that in mind as you try and plan your make your plans for tonight. There's also been a fair amount of activity in terms of hail and wind reports from these storms. A couple of dozen reports here. I mean, certainly we've seen busier days than this, but I wanted to at least show you that we were starting to see a little bit of that uptick in activity because of this particular cluster of storms that we've been tracking through the Great Lakes and now moving into the Midwestern states. Also can't get too far down the line here without getting an update on the tropics. Of course, everybody watching what's going on here. National Hurricane Center watching 3 systems. You can see one that's just coming off the coast of Africa. The one in red has the highest risk of development. And then we've got one over in the Caribbean that's also going to be pretty interesting to watch as we head towards this weekend. So that's going to be the one of the 3 that I think bears the most consideration. But I'll just quickly show you the percentages from the Hurricane Center for the one in red. So 10% chance, 10 to 20% chance in the next couple of days, but up to 70% chance of development as we get towards the next 5 days. So you can see the polygon there kind of would be a recurve away from the U.S. So not generally concerned about that one. And again, the one that's coming just off of Africa, too soon to say, but the one that's in the Caribbean does bear some watching. Possibly could be something for eventually something for Texas or for Mexico. We'll see if that indeed becomes an issue as we head further along. Here's a look at the SATRAD, and this shows the satellite and the radar composite over the last 12 to 18 hours. So leftovers on reef, finally out of here. Wanted to stick a fork in that thing. Thankfully that moved offshore late last night. Weather's been pretty good across the Northeast as folks try and clean up there. There's still some residual power outages from Henri, and there's that line of weather that we're tracking today. Some magenta coloring there indicating that there's definitely some hail coming down in the ground to the ground in parts of Iowa, into Wisconsin, and a little bit into the Midwestern states as well, eventually later tonight. So that's what I'll be looking at into the next couple of hours. Minnesota did pretty well this afternoon. Most of that weather didn't really impact that city or that region too much. In terms of risk, we've got about 13 million people on a slight risk today. There's the little swath that extends from Chicago and again back over through parts of Iowa over into Nebraska, just to the east of there. And I think as we head through tonight, we are into tomorrow, we could see this shift back towards those Midwestern states. So we'll see what the SPC does as we head into tomorrow. Usually they give us a heads up the night around 9 o'clock the night before, so we should get an update from them here later tonight. The Euro forecast here showing some high resolution data, and again that's indicating where it's going to be a pretty long night for the folks in parts of Michigan, especially over Lake Michigan, as those storms move towards the east and then towards the south into Ohio. As I mentioned, a little piece of that energy is going to make it into the mid-Atlantic and then should get out of here by late Thursday, and then another secondary line of weather moving through the central part of the country as we head into Thursday and Friday. You can see that here. So this will be the area that Aaron was actually talking about. That could be an interesting feature for some severe weather as well. Look at the lower 48, relatively benign over these last 12 to 18 hours. I hate to say that because that's always can turn around to bite you when you say that. But weather-wise, at least nothing tropically going on, so that's always a good thing. At least imminently, there's nothing going on. And then the heat out west is still a major issue that we're also watching. Here's our forecast model. So we've got our ridge of high pressure along the western states, and that will continue to bring in the very warm temperatures there. And then we've got a little trough that's just off the southeastern part of the U.S. that also will likely fuel some of those summer storms as we get into today, the rest of today and into tomorrow. As I mentioned, we're kind of waiting for those storms to fire here in the Orlando area. We usually get our sea breeze storms relatively late in the day. All right, before we scoot out of here and introduce our newest member, I got to give you a little Feel Good Friday moment. I actually got this video today after seeing this story on the Dodo. And if you guys aren't aware of what the Dodo is, it's a website that promotes animal, happy stories and stories of rescues and survival. And this particular little pooch was in Spain, and these people were driving down the road and they saw this little guy running, or actually it's a girl, I should say, Moxie is her name, saw her running with their car. They didn't stop right away. They weren't sure what to do. And then they finally did stop. This was from a few months ago when they actually stopped and saved her. She has turned out to be the sweetest dog. She's, I'm going to say this wrong, I think it's called a Shorkie, which is a mixture of a Shih Tzu and a Yorkie. But she is as cute as she can be. She has an Instagram page, and since her story went viral today, a lot of people have been talking about her. I love her story, and we'll have more on her on the Feel Good Friday segment this Friday to get you guys in a great mood. All right, now the drum roll. You guys, we are so happy to be introducing another member to the MyRadar weather team. And we continue to expand, and we're super excited about this. But our newest member, our newest digital meteorologist, is going to be expanding a new brand for the company. And let's have her come on in. So we're going to introduce Erica Lopez, everybody. We should have had a little sound effect right there. So excited to have you. So Erica, first off, welcome.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
I know, she's so sweet. She's the sweetest gal. And so let me let Erica talk for a few minutes. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you were, and some of the plans you've got here.
Okay, so I'm originally from the Dallas, Fort Worth area. I'm a native Texan. Also I love Texas, so I'm such a Texan. And so I've been around a couple areas, quite a few. I studied in Oklahoma, so I had my degree in meteorology from the University of Oklahoma. So that means I'm a very big advocate of, and I love severe weather. I love coverage of severe weather. And so once I graduated, I actually went to a local TV station out in California, the Monterey Bay, one of the most beautiful areas I've ever been. So I was out there for about a couple of years, doing some of the coastal forecasting, wildfires, heat out there. As you know, they don't have air conditioning out there, so that's a big deal. And then after that, I went to Atlanta, where I was a weather producer for the Weather Channel. So I was off camera for a little bit, learned a lot about the back end side of, what you see on the TV there, all the graphics that you see. That's kind of where I learned. And now I'm here in Florida, which I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so excited. And your boyfriend lives here in the Sunshine State, so she's closer to, dear loved ones. But for us, she will be our new weekend meteorologist. But another new thing that Erica is going to be doing for our company, we are going to be launching into an Espanol brand. Yes. And Erica is going to be spearheading that effort. She's going to be our pioneer. We're so excited about that. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I grew up speaking Spanish, so I'm bilingual, my whole family. My mom actually does not speak any English.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty fluent in Spanish, and so being able to branch that out here from MyRadar, it's been my dream. That's the whole reason I got into broadcast and even presenting weather was to do Spanish. And so I'm so excited to finally be able to do that here for MyRadar and expand that brand. And of course, for the audiences, if you speak Spanish, being able to get the forecast in Spanish through an app, I think is very important.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So we've talked an awful lot about this. And of course, the owner of MyRadar, Andy Green, is so excited to have you on board. It's a big component of what we do here. And even before we even brought you on board, we knew that during tropical landfalls, so many times people people need something translated for them, and it's such a big, important part of what we do. So we know that Florida, where we are, is a large Spanish-speaking community, as well as the state of Texas, of course, Puerto Rico, our friends in Puerto Rico, and we're going to be doing this globally. I think we're going to take some baby steps first, and then you're going to expand the brand. And I think the guys are showing we do have officially an Espanol MyRadar page on Facebook and on Twitter, but it's not populated yet. Erica just started yesterday, so she's going to be taking that on. So look for the content to come in the coming weeks. It won't all be here right away, but we're really looking forward to Erica to be, populating those channels for us and doing life-saving information sometimes when we've got a landfalling hurricane or there is a tornado outbreak. Erica will be broadcasting on those channels as well as in the app in Spanish to help our Spanish-speaking community.
So I'm very excited. Yay!
I know. I'm so excited to have her. She's so sweet. So make sure you guys support Erica. Give us a big thumbs up on our channel, and you'll be seeing a lot more of Erica starting this weekend. Super excited that she's here. And again, look for her Spanish content very soon here in MyRadar. All right, so I think that's going to do it for you guys, for us today. Again, thanks to our Mario, Matt Highland, and Damian McFarland in the back. Those guys are great, and we're excited that we are now, I think, a team of 7 or 8. I think we're growing quick, you guys. So look for all this new content coming from the MyRadar team soon. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching us, and we appreciate it. Erica, by the way, will not be on this weekend. She's still training here, so we still have, of course, meteorologist Jamie Martin on staff. He's not going anywhere, but Erica will be taking over as the weekend met for us. So you'll see her next weekend. All right, you guys, that'll do it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.